You ever say something totally normal from your Caribbean upbringing, only to see North Americans' jaw drop as if you admitted to wrestling crocodiles for fun? Yeah, because what's everyday life for us is straight up culture shock for them. And trust me, there are some things that we grew up thinking were standard, but when you explain it to someone from foreign, instant confusion, sometimes fear, and always disbelief. So let's talk about the things that were totally normal growing up Caribbean, but left North Americans completely stunned. And full disclaimer, before I get roasted in the comments as usual, many of these things we don't do anymore, but many of us did them growing up. In the end, amazing part of the Caribbean experience. Let's start with something simple. Taking a bath. I'm not saying taking a bath is culture shock for them. I'm just saying. In the Caribbean, you didn't need a fancy shower head with 12 settings and mood lighting. All you needed was a bucket, a cup, and vibes. Probably have some song playing in your head because your singing would be loud. And somehow, you came out squeaky clean. But try explaining this to a North American. Wait, so you pour the water over yourself manually? Yes. And it was refreshing too. Cold water in the morning, that will wake up your soul. Some of us still prefer the bucket and cup method. It saves water and yes, it builds character. In the Caribbean, if your mother told you, go by Miss Merle and borrow 2 eggs, you're almost walking into Miss Merle's house like you own it. You're not completely knocking and waiting for Miss Earl to come out. Just a loud good afternoon from the doorway. And then you help yourself. North Americans, they need a doorbell, a scheduled visit, and a Google Calendar invite. You walk into their house unannounced, that's trespassing. Police might get involved. But back home, it's just respect and community. We grew up knowing our neighbors. These people are like family, and sometimes even better than your actual family. In the Caribbean, church was not just spiritual. It was military training. You had to sit upright, stay awake, and not laugh. Even if Sister Mavis was catching the Holy Spirit and doing backflips. You laugh? That's a dead sentence. Pop, right there in the pew. Your mother would pinch you so hard you forgot what was funny. North Americans, they are confused like, you got disciplined? During the service? Yes, in church, by the Lord's representative, your mother. You ever try to keep a secret in a small Caribbean neighborhood? Good luck. You sneeze wrong, and 5 houses down already know your symptoms. North Americans are all about privacy. So they claim, and I'll get to that. Caribbean people, we invented social network just without the apps. Auntie Bev, she knew you switched jobs before you knew. Miss Jennifer, she know you gained 2 pounds before you noticed it yourself. And somebody's uncle always knew who you were with last night. It's shocking to North Americans. But for us, that's normal. That's love with a side of judgment. Now, moving to North America, let me talk about something that I have noticed. Something that everyone pretends does not happen in North America. In the comments on some of my recent videos, I noticed that North Americans were in there commenting that, oh, I wouldn't move to the Caribbean because I don't like people in my business. Now, let me address this. I have, however, noticed that in North America, you cannot tell anyone anything or else it's going to be all over. They say they don't like people being nosy and always in the business, but I realize that the culture, despite them admitting the contrary, I realize that the culture is totally different. I mean, you say something, everyone's knowing. No one keeps a secret. Am I lying? Let me know in the comments. I'm just telling you what I noticed. Let me know if you have had that experience. Now, North Americans see a slipper as a slipper. Caribbean parents sees this as a disciplinary tool. Remote not nearby, slipper. You answer with attitude, slipper. You didn't even do anything yet, but you look suspicious, slipper. And the worst part, all Caribbean kids know. Your mother, they had precision aim. You could run around the corner and somehow, whap, direct hit. Try telling that to a North American friend. Your mom threw a shoe at you for rolling your eyes? Yes, and I never roll them again. And why Caribbean parents never tell us a full list? You'd run to the shop, come back drenched in sweat, only to hear, "Oh, I forgot. Go back for some flour." And this wasn't just a short walk. You had to dodge potholes, stray dogs, and that one neighbor who always wanted to hold a whole conversation. And don't forget, most importantly, this list wasn't written. It was a verbal list. You had to remember every single thing your mother told you to get. And if you come back without it, problems. North Americans are like, "You let your kids go shopping alone?" Listen, we were doing errands before we had teeth. It builds responsibility and trust issues. Let me ask you something. Did you have childhood? Saturday mornings meant one thing: war. Music blasting, usually Berry's Hammer and Garnet Silk or Byron Lee. And that was your warning. You had 10 seconds to jump out of bed before your mother appeared with threats and a mop. Sweeping, mopping, wiping out windows, shaking out curtains, raking up the yard, cutting the tree. Nothing was off limits. North Americans talk about chores like it's one or two tasks. We were running a janitorial service by 8 years old, and you don't stop until the place smells like Fabulous and Broken Spirits. Telling a North American kid you got licks in school was like telling them you walk barefoot on lava. In the Caribbean, teachers were not educators. They were trained in hand-to-hand combat. Forget detention. We got rulers, belts, blackboard dusters, anything in reach. And if you went home to complain, your parents would ask, "What you do?" Then give you part 2 of the beating. That system built respect, but also trauma. North Americans can't believe we lived through it. But look at us. Respectful, disciplined, and still flinch when someone raises their hands too fast. In the Caribbean, we didn't go to the doctor for everything. You had a fever, bush tea. You had a headache, rub it with Limacol or Vicks, or sop it with some rum that your grandmother had with some snakes in the bottle. Stomachache, ginger and garlic tea. North Americans are shocked like, "You didn't take Tylenol?" No, we drank something that tasted like a boiled lawn, and we were expected to run a marathon after. And somehow, it worked. In Caribbean households, manners was everything. You enter the room, greet everyone. Don't interrupt grown people talking. And for the love of ackee and saltfish, never call an adult their first name without a title. North Americans sometimes go, "My kids call me by my first name." In a Caribbean house, that's a social suicide mission. We were raised to say good morning, good evening, yes, please, no, thank you, even if we were angry. Because respect wasn't earned, it was demanded. Now here's the kicker. As hard, weird, or shocking as things sounded to others, we wouldn't change a thing. So don't worry about us. Our upbringing made us respectful, and hilarious without trying. We grew up with grit, with culture, with the kind of stories we can't make up. So yeah, maybe North Americans are shocked, but for us, that was just another day in the life. And if you're Caribbean, you're probably laughing because every single thing here is true. So tell me, what's one Caribbean norm that shocked your North American friend the most? Or if you're not Caribbean, which of these blew your mind? Drop it in the comments, like the video, and share it with someone who needs a good laugh. Because one thing about us, we might be different, but we are unforgettable. Stay locked in, and remember, it's not just the destination, it's the journey. Stay blessed.